Hey everybody, this is Uncle Zed. Hope everybody had a great week. Been kind of kicking back. Did not do a recording last week. I wanted to kind of see what the heck was going on out in the world, and a lot of things have changed. As you all know, this week was the State of the Union address, which I'm calling the Disunion of the State address. The reason why I'm calling it that, because it seemed like this year, State of the Union was basically a read of all the tweets that were sent out by our great leader. I gained nothing, absolutely nothing from what he spoke of, other than him hammering on things that just don't make sense. I want to ask you guys a little something. Do you ever wake up in the morning and turn on the news or be driving to work and wonder if it's Ground Hog Day? Because the same shit that you listened to yesterday and the day before and the day before that and the day before that, and for pretty much a year now, just keeps repeating itself over and over and over and over. Just don't understand why we have such a mess going on right now when the Congress is basically controlled by the Republicans. President's a Republican, so you would think they'd be able to get some things done or some thoughts put together in their head and pass a few things to help us, the people. Because after all, they are working for us, the people. So far, I have seen nothing come out of the White House other than a tax plan that doesn't really look to be that great. Looks to be great in the short term, and everybody's just jizzing their pants over it because they're getting their little $1,000 bonuses or their extra $1 an hour. But in the long run, it's going to be a big problem for people in the future generations, which is the crux of what I want to speak to today in my podcast. Is what are we setting up for our future generations if we can't get together today to solve simple problems? Simple. They're not that difficult. It wasn't too long ago, and this will tell you how things are so screwed up. It wasn't too long ago. It was November 5th of 2015, where there was a Steve Bannon and Trump interview where Trump himself had stated to the fact that immigrants in this country was a good thing and that, quote, we must keep our talented people, unquote. This is straight from Trump's mouth. Look it up. It's out there. November 5th, 2015, Bannon and Trump interview. Bannon turns around and says the influx of immigrants can put our civic society in danger, quote unquote. That was his response, November 5th. So they kept going back and forth, and it seemed as though Trump, back in 2015, knew that immigrants and immigration and people that work here, that worked under his industries, were actually helping him make money. And on September 7th of 2017, a speech given by Trump, he states, I have no issues with DACA, quote unquote. No issues with DACA. Again, you can see where his thought process was still immigration is okay if it's controlled, not wide open borders, it's controlled. And that's the promise that he made, or at least that's what he said to us when he was out there stumping to become president. Lo and behold, that same year, December 29th of 17, all of a sudden, if the wall goes up, then DACA comes through. So somewhere, somehow, somewhere got crossed, and this dude turned his viewpoint 180 degrees. So it comes to a point where I truly believe, and I have things posted on my Facebook page and on Twitter under hashtag Truth Really Undermines My Presidency, all grouped together, to where you can see back in the day, Trump, as a businessman, was a very welcoming person to all races, all creeds. He listened to people. I'm sure he took money from all kinds of different nationalities as far as loans, helped other people. I'm sure he helped people build their businesses, helped his buddies that were from foreign lands make money. Then all of a sudden he becomes president, and he's being told by people right, left, and sideways on what to do, and I don't think he can make up his mind, or he just doesn't get what part of something that somebody's telling him he should take and run with. It's evident if you listen to his State of the Union address. This was written by somebody called Stephen Miller. He's completely and totally against DACA. He is the one that writes all of his speeches, and you could hear the tinge of that fascism. Nothing made sense to me that he spoke of. Half the House didn't stand up, didn't even clap for him. All of the African American representatives that were there were dressed in African garb, pretty much telling the president, F you. Here's your shithole country, asshole. I come from there. So it's gotten so bad now that under our Constitution, the judicial, legislative, and executive branches are there for checks and balances and for the balance of power. And I think that is being looked at really closely now because it seems as though there is no one in power. It's whatever somebody says, and it gets filtered through the man, and either he tweets about it or he talks about it, whether he believes it or not. Because every time he opens his mouth, he's talking 180 degrees to something he just said that's on tape, yet he won't cop to it. So I'm not understanding why adults that have done this job for many, many a year are now caught into this whirlwind of a game show called the presidency, because that's what it's turned into. The way people are getting fired, the way people are getting treated, the way things are being enacted or not enacted is just like a game show. More attention is being paid by the bullshit that's being spread out there about Russia, Russian investigation, who did what to who, that the attention in which people should be paying more close attention to are the factors that keep us alive. Cost of food, health. Can I drive to work without my car falling apart because there's so many potholes, or is that bridge going to fall apart? Those are the things that I was expecting to hear. What are we going to do for us, the Americans, in America, to help us, like every other president has ever done since I was a kid that I had listened to? You had respect for that position because you knew it was a position of power, not only here in America, but worldwide. And you kind of got the sense as to how well we were doing or how bad we were doing or what the plans were. Whether you agreed with them or not, at least you got a sense of which way we were headed. I got no sense as to where we were headed at all. As a matter of fact, as our illustrious leader, as some of you like to call him, was touting the fact that the stock market was at its highest, not 2 days after his speech, it dropped over 1,000 points. Coincidence? Don't think so. You're starting to see Trumponomics come in. That's what you're seeing. Up to now, you've seen the leftover of what happened in the last 8 years. The golden years. You'll look back on these years and think of that. How much money you were able to make, how stable the market was, how well people were doing that had jobs. Because I'm here to tell you, Trumponomics is kicking in, and you will see people get laid off. You're seeing it now. The only thing he was able to pass was the tax plan. And again, I'll use this as an example. Wally World is giving their employees $1,000. Woo! And $1 extra an hour. But on the backside of that, Sam's Club's shutting down all over. What happens to those people? There's your Trumponomics. Rob Peter to pay Paul. Rob Paul to pay Steve. That hole just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we're going to owe more money to other countries. We're going to dig ourselves into a bigger hole. We will see inflation go up. You're already seeing Bitcoin being touted as nothing, as a poof. It's gone. The value of it's dropping like a rock. So people's confidence, I think, is starting to go down by what they hear, by what they see, by the fact that nothing's getting done, by the fact that not even your own city can use some of the money that they earn to fix potholes. The millions of dollars that all of these states are starting to make by making weed legal, all that money is going to be used for our benefit, hopefully help people with medical needs, maybe do some research on Alzheimer's and some other diseases out there that they have no clue as to how it happens. None of that I saw. All I saw was basically a recant of all the stupid tweets put into a speech with a tinge of hate when you're comparing DACA recipients with MS-13 gang members. That just doesn't make sense. Now I'm here to tell you that I'm talking from experience because I am an immigrant. I went through the process and I know what it's like. Again, I'm not talking about people just willy-nilly walking across, coming into the United States and raping us for everything that we got. I do not agree with that. And I'm on whoever's side has that thought process. This isn't a free country, willy-nilly, again, just come in and do whatever the hell you want. That was not the way that I immigrated here. And believe it or not, if nothing else that this guy has said for a year, there is one thing that I agree with when it comes to immigration. And that's the fact that if you want to immigrate to this country, show this country that you're going to do something for it. Not just come in because your country had an earthquake or, God forbid, something else that happened that wiped you out. Yeah, we're there to help you, but not forever. I'm with that. There has to be some sort of control. Almost 400 million people in this country. Can't get from point A to point B 10 miles without wasting an hour and a half of your time. Why? Because there's too many fucking people. And half of them are too fucking stupid to be able to drive a car. So how do we fix that? Well, we're now talking about building a wall. Stupid. Stupid. Waste of money. Not going to happen. But yet you're pitting people under something called the DACA program against that. So you're pitting a human against an object. If I don't get this, you don't get that. Sounds like a little 12-year-old game as to whose sword is longer. Just like he did with the bombs, with Rocket Boy and all that other shit. That's about all he knows how to do, is play a game. This isn't a game, people. This is our lives we're talking about. Immediately, and look forward to the lives your kids are going to have. Because what happens today will reverberate for years to come. A decision made today may not be felt for another 10 years, but when you feel it, it's going to hurt. Just like karma. That bitch comes around and bites you in the ass, it hurts. Hurts really bad. This isn't something new, what they're talking about as far as DACA, immigrants, kicking people out. Things like this have been happening throughout history. I'll give you a perfect example. Watching a program about Tesla. Realizing that Tesla was murdered. He was murdered because he came up with something that the United States government thought was a great invention that might one day rule the world. So I truly believe he was murdered because of that. But here's the crux of this whole story that really surprised the hell out of me. Tesla was an American citizen. Even though he came from another country or migrated, he was an American citizen. The day that he was murdered, the United States had something called the Office of Alien Property Custodians. And what that office did is, whoever was an alien and was murdered, died, whether natural or however, this office was in charge of going in and grabbing everything that this alien had and keeping it in storage. They would look at it. For what reason, I don't know. In Teslas, I can certainly see where the 80 crates that they took, the paperwork that Tesla had in his laboratory, and kept it in this office, which then, because his own government sued the United States and got those papers back, half of the papers that meant something were gone. Part of which was something called the death ray. Look it up. Tesla and the death ray. So immigrants without legal status back in those days, the government was able to confiscate all their property. Well, that kind of made sense because that was a way to control things. But here's somebody that's famous, that had written books, that was known in the scientific community. Same thing was done to him as was done to somebody that just got off the boat, that maybe had crimes. Who knows? Late 70s, early 80s, the Cubans were smart enough to use a loophole and allowed every single one of their prisoners out of jail. Put them in a boat, sent them over to the United States, and guess what happened? Florida took most of those people in. 2 or 3 years later, they found out that these dudes were in jail for some pretty big crimes. And they were transposing the crimes that they committed in Cuba, now being a police officer in Miami. This is a true story. They caught I don't know how many of them. Raping, killing, drug dealing, because that's all they knew. Because there was zero control on that loophole. Wet foot, dry foot. Look that one up. Part of the immigration process here in the United States. Wet foot, dry foot. Google it. You'll be surprised at what that means. All of these guys were lucky enough to be dry foot. So they got into the country. Then somehow they made it into the police department. 5, 6 years, 2 years, 3 years, however long later, somebody started looking these guys up as to why the hell did they leave Cuba and who are these guys? And they found out it was all the prisoners. kind of made fools out of us. So control has to be there with immigration. I agree with that. The fact that somebody brought their kid here when they were 2 years of age is not that kid's fault, but they did not do something that is within our law structure, something that keeps control of how many people are in here, what they're doing, what kind of diseases are they bringing in here, and what is their background. Now, not everybody's a rapist, not everybody's a drug dealer. A lot of these people, like a whole 90 some odd percent plus that migrate here for a better life, and they have something to offer to us, the Americans, who are also immigrants, by the way, as far as talent. Maybe they know how to cook. Maybe they know how to build something out of nothing, pound metal, build a house. Everybody has a talent. The reason why they want to come to this country, or used to want to come to this country anyways, is because this was the land of opportunity. Much like my father did. He's a triple, quadruple immigrant until he finally landed in this country and made something out of himself. We didn't need to come here. We had more from where we came from than we ever were able to make in this country. We will never be as rich as we were where we came from to where we are now. But this is where we wanted to land, because this is the place that gives you the opportunity to speak your mind like I'm doing now. People died for the fact that I can spit in a microphone and say, "Fuck you, Donald Trump, you are a piece of shit." And there is nothing that anybody can do about that. People have died for this right. I could not, in 1,000 dreams that I have, could possibly do that in the country that I come from. I would straight go to jail, and nobody would ever see me again. Try doing that in North Korea. You and your whole entire family will die. Russia, same thing. So this is the country of opportunity that allows people to come in here in a controlled way to where we know what's going on. We, meaning Americans, because I am an American now, might as well have been born here, have all the paperwork, and I have the luxury of knowing 4 languages. Yet that opens up a whole new world for me, because I can talk to people that would otherwise not know English correctly, but yet I could still converse with them and learn something from them. So in that controlled way of bringing people in, we allow ourselves to expand, invent new things, get new ideas from people, weed out the bad people and get them the fuck out of our country. I'm in full agreement with that. That's something that Trump says, and that's something that I 100% agree with. Because you know what? In the end, I don't think this dude's that bad of a guy. He's just really, really confused. He never thought that he would make it. He conceded this to Hillary the day of the election because of this fucking electoral college that does not make any sense whatsoever. Gerrymandering took it, ran with it, and this asshole made it. Well, guess what? I think he was more surprised than we were that he made it, and now he's in the middle of all the shit, and he has no clue as to what to do with it. So all he keeps spitting out is a bunch of bullshit that Fox News says, because that's all he listens to, or somebody else tweets. And then out of both sides of his mouth, he says the same thing in a 180-degree different way. Today it's okay, tomorrow it's bad. Today he's good, tomorrow he's fired. This isn't how we do things. There's over 2,600 jobs that have yet to be filled. We're already a year into his presidency. Who's doing those jobs? These are jobs that the government needs in order to keep running. So what's happening is everything's being deflected away from things that need to get done, and they're being deflected to bullshit that we really don't care about or need to know about or have any meaning whatsoever to the end result, which is a better life in the country in which we live in. So what's going to end up happening is just like me when I was a kid in high school and I had a term paper. I knew the term paper was due in 3 months. Could have done a little bit at a time, researched it, put it together, and got a good grade. No, I'll just keep putting it off, and then at the last minute, I'm going to slap some shit together, hand it in, try to convince her that I worked really hard for 3 months, and here's my term paper. Well, guess what? She caught a hold of that, as all of them did, and I did not get the grade that I wanted to get. Certainly not the grade that I deserved, because I didn't do the work. So actually I got the grade that I deserved. Well, that's what's going to happen with what's going on right now. Our attention is being diverted to so many different things that every day you turn the news on, it's something new. It's like we're waiting for something to happen, either through Twitter, the news, a news blurb, somebody else from another country putting out some sort of news. Like every day we're waiting for something to drop. That's not how things work. If you think back a year and a half ago, think back 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you may not have agreed with the president. You may not have agreed with everything that he tried to pass, some of his ideas, but at least you knew something was going on. Something was being attempted. That he had people around him that were smart enough to advise him, and then ultimately he would make the decision, good, bad, or indifferent, and put it out there. Well, I don't see that happening now. I really don't. I wish I did. I hope to soon. I don't know if this guy's going to last long enough with everything going on and being so close to being proven that not only Russia had interference with our election, which has been proven time and time again by 16 different factions of the government. Not one, not two, 16 have come back and said, this is what happened. Yet, here we are. Things are not moving forward. Things are not being solved. More and more problems are being gathered up. Nothing's being done about those problems because we're concentrating so much effort and time into the tweets, into the what this, and to he's stupid, and to, whatever. That now, because there's so much going on, the only person in the Trump family that you see are husband and wife. Don't know what happened to the kid, Barron. Don Jr., fucking retard. Eric, fucking retard. And his daughter girlfriend, if she wasn't my daughter, she'd be my girlfriend. Another retard. And what happens to these people when the heat gets turned up? It's been about a month and a half that I've seen their face on TV because they're hiding. And the only person out there is Daddy. Not even his old lady wanted to be next to him during the speech. You can see it in her face that she cannot stand him. So now that you have somebody that's narcissistic, that never won anything, now has become president, and he's acting as though the presidency is a game show. That's the feeling that I get. So this is a disunion of the state address that he had because there was no unity. It was a divisive speech. Again, hammering on the wall, MS-13, DACA, prescription drugs, chip program, all the bullshit that he's been tweeting, nothing has been done. Zero. For God's sakes, NAFTA, something that was signed, giving us, Canada to Mexico and into South America, the rights to have trade, seem to be working. We're a throwaway society, so if we don't have enough shit to buy, then we start getting real nervous. So, they kept feeding us all this crap. We keep throwing it away and buying new ones. So our debt keeps going up. We keep buying newer stuff that we can't afford, keep up with the Joneses, whatever it is. So like around March of 2017, Robert Lighthizer, who's a foreign policy trade negotiator, if you look back on his history, the guy was a really good foreign trade administrator or negotiator. He's the one that keeps the import-export debt kind of evened out. Because right now we're on a negative. We're importing like 4 times as much as we're exporting. So obviously our money's going out. Shit's coming in. That's the less money that America has. Real simple equation. The ones building us the most shit has the most money. The ones that have the most money and the most toys wins. So now, Lighthouser got sucked into the Trumponomics. And NAFTA starting to become a clusterfuck. They're starting to raise trade barriers. And now we're going to be into a trade deficit. So now people are probably not going to want to send their shit over here for us to buy because of all these deals they're making. Ever since I was a kid, ever since my dad was a kid, during the war, in the middle of the war, having seen the United States come in and save the day. We're a powerhouse. Couldn't do no wrong. Canada, Mexico, and Brazil are moving ahead with the NAFTA deal and saying, fuck you, America. There's a gigantic ocean out there. We don't need to travel through your roads to bring you shit. We just won't bring you anything. We'll just put it on ships and we'll just keep going. Paris Accord, same thing. If our president were to read, rather than just sit there and tweet and use his phone to read, he would figure out that the Paris Accord was not in agreement with Paris, which is what he believes. That's how backwards or how uninformed I think this whole cabinet is, except for a select few people that are trying their hardest to pluck out a couple of things and maybe make some sense of this and try to move some things ahead. Don't see it happening. So is it that we're getting further and further behind? Or is it that the rest of the world finally caught up? I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I think because of what's been happening here, and I can go back 8 years ago when people thought Obama was the devil. Don't even know where that came from. But because a Republican didn't get voted in again, like 2 terms for President Bush, which was a complete amazement to me that somebody that stupid back then got elected not once, but twice. Because he threatened the fact that if he was not elected, the war would get out of control that he started. So we go and elect him. And we figure out that he made a clusterfuck out of everything because he is about as retarded as Trump is back in the day, so we thought. And we put somebody else in there that smart, had the background, had the experience, had the connections. I think got a lot of stuff done. Again, I don't give a shit if the guy's Republican, Democrat, Independent, purple, green, from Mars. I don't give a shit. If he's my president, do some good for my country and for my people, then you're a good guy. If you don't, you're not. That's the way that works. Real simple. So, 8 years. Dug himself out of a shithole, if you want to use that as President Trump does. It was a shithole in this country 9 years ago when Obama took over. In a deficit, 2 different wars. Shit was completely out of control. And little by little, because this man had experience, connections, a brain, and the ability to use all of that to his benefit, he did that. And little by little, he chunked away at the shithole that he inherited. And by the time he left, up until last week, you're reaping the benefits of what this man was able to accomplish in 8 years. Like it, don't like it, racist or not, Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever the fuck you are, come to your senses and realize that if you have somebody in there that helps you, that makes things move forward, that at least tries to help their own people in their own country, I call that a good thing. Now, had that been the case this time around, had the promises that were made, the bullshit that was spilt out, had half of that come to fruition, I'd feel the same way about the person that's trying to lead us. But I'm not seeing that. All I'm seeing and all I'm feeling is more and more hatred every day. And I'm hoping that they get closer and closer to kicking this guy out, because I cannot wait to see the day until him and his whole entire family get booted out, handcuffed, once they figured out how much bullshit this guy's doing. Remember, from New York, businessman, a shark, supposedly a billionaire. You do not do that without cutting corners and fucking people in the ass. That just does not happen in this world. That's called capitalism. No one in this country has ever made something out of themselves without stepping on somebody. Just like a crab bucket. you're going to step on whoever the fuck's under you to get out. And that's how you become a millionaire in this country. That's how capitalism works. You use people to your advantage. So that's what he knows. Even if you were to be good at it, which I don't think he is, as a businessman, that just does not translate to government. It doesn't work that way. Everybody thought because he was a great businessman, he was going to be able to talk his way out of all the bullshit that's going on in the world. And where we're involved, well, guess what's happening? It's backfiring. Because nobody wants to listen to his rhetoric and bullshit. Because it does not make sense. Not only to other people all over the world, but to his own party. They themselves call him a moron, an idiot. Again, if a third of what that book that's out is true, it's a third too much. There shouldn't be a book out on a president the first year in and all of it be bad. Showing you all the dark corners that this motherfucker deals in order to be able to do anything because he's too stupid to realize he's in over his head. All he's got to do is admit it and ask for help. And there'll be people around him to help, and he'll make something out of himself. 2020, not going to happen. And I'll tell you why. Because anybody within the reach of my voice that has any kind of balls to get their ass up one day and go out and vote, the House and Senate will become Democratic, and this asshole will get nothing done, as he has not gotten anything done with a majority Republican House and Senate. So imagine if it's all Democratic, which it will be. Guaranteed. And that, my friends, will be a reflection of what you're feeling as to what this guy is attempting to do to your country, to you, and more importantly, your kids. Don't just think about yourself. Think about future generations. Think back when we were kids and how bad this earth got fucked up to what we have now as adults. So just something that simple. Never mind the really, really complicated shit, like how do we deal with other countries? How in the hell do we keep our country safe, protected, maintained, educated instead of incarcerated, so that we can move forward and compete with other countries, coming up with inventions, working with them, maybe solve a Parkinson's disease. I put this on my web pages, I put this on Twitter, I put it everywhere I could to see if people will come to this realization. Hashtag truth really undermines my presidency. You'll see a collection of bullshit that's being put out there as misdirection. Misdirection is something that people throw out there so that you don't see the truth. And that's what's happening. So moving forward, I'm hoping that more and more people pay attention. I'm certainly hoping that people get up and vote. And come November, when people come up and vote in the midterms, I guarantee you that there'll be a surprise coming, shoving down the Republicans' throats. The richy rich that are up on top don't give a shit. They got their money. They got their luxuries. The working stiffs like us, we're the ones that are going to suffer because they can't pass shit. Because they can't pull their head out their ass and make a decision. Because 42% of people are fucking retarded if they believe that this guy's doing anything other than blowing smoke up your ass. You guys all have a brain. You guys all went to school. Believe me when I tell you, I seriously doubt this ass will last 4 years. The problem that we're having right now is that the Democrats are a bunch of pussies. And I don't see one sticking their neck out and being the leader. Joe Kennedy III had a great speech. Great. If you guys got past the fact that he had a little bit too much of the gleaning on his lips and everybody thought he was foaming at the mouth, listen to his speech. That is what I'm talking about. Decency. Some sort of future for our kids. Some sort of help for the elderly, the homeless, the roads. Talking about infrastructure and building a wall. No. Healthcare. Education. Control the borders, dude. Don't block them. Use some of that money and do it right. Do it the way that I did it. My parents did it. Prove to me that you got something to offer to this country. And once you do, prove to me that you can support your family. Because from what I understand, chain migration is a term used back in the slavery days. Because they were all chained up on the bottom of a boat. It's not a terminology we use today. A nuclear migration. Another terminology that's not used. Don't even know where this shit comes up from. It's just like fake news. Just something somebody pulled out their ass and it becomes a word in the English dictionary and then everybody believes in it. It just doesn't happen that way. Prove to me that you can do something to this country to make it move forward. Then prove to me that you can support however many people you want to come up from wherever you're coming from. And then we'll give you a green card. And then you live for 5, 6, 7 years, however long, under that green card as an American citizen, holding 2 passports, one to your country, and that green card for this country. And once those requirements have been met, welcome to America, bro. I had to give up my citizenship from where I came from to become an American, and I did it in a heartbeat. Because I am an American through and through. I came here as a kid. My thoughts are American. My feelings are American. I just have family in other countries. I know other languages. But my head and my soul reside here. And here's where I want to die. But I don't want to do it tomorrow or next week. I got a good 20, 30 left in me, and I would like to see it be a peaceful 20 or 30. Not this bullshit that's going on today. So get out and vote. Change this thing, because the only voice you got is your vote. You could talk all the shit you want. You could put up all the videos you want. You can go to television stations and talk all the shit you want. Nothing will change this other than your vote. Get up off your ass. Go down to the voting booth and vote. For God's sakes, they send it to your house. Vote, put a stamp on the fucking thing, give it to the postman. A gift given to you by people that died for it. Just like free speech. Remember that. So the last thing that I want to tell you is when you're out there, even looking at my page, I try to put out things that make some sense, that kind of connect to what I'm trying to say. But what I need everybody to take time out to do is filter out all the bullshit and misdirection and pluck the truth out. I know you guys are smart enough to do that. Even the 42% that believe this guy's the best thing since sliced bread, take time out to wade through the bullshit and pluck the truth out. It's there. Your best friend could throw out a joke making fun of you. Something silly. And then turn around and go, dude, I'm just joking. There are no jokes. There's always a piece of truth in a joke. It's just turned around to be a ha-ha because the person doesn't have enough balls to say, Jesus Christ, you stink, bruh. So he'll make a joke out of it. Hoping you get the fucking clue. Same thing that's happening now. Wade through the bullshit. Don't let the misdirection lead you into a wrong path. Pluck out the truth. You have the power to look things up, do research, and fact check yourself. And then you will know the truth. And then you can make up your mind as to which way you're going to vote, you're going to react, you're going to post, or discuss things with people. Because it seems as though nowadays, at the water cooler, if you have a discussion about this and you got two polar opposing points of view, there's going to be some fisticuffs, man. People are really hot on this. Love it or hate it. Well, I think love will win. And the only way that you're going to get there is by wading through the bullshit and plucking out the truth. Look it up. I'm hoping all you guys have a great week. Hoping things get better and more positive. I truly wish to do positive podcasts, but right now these are too important things not to talk about. Once these things turn around, And it's all positive, funny, haha, because I got a lot in me to do that. But right now it's just too important that I got to discuss it, and hopefully it'll change one person's mind to get up off your ass and go vote. Uncle Zed out.